we're simplifying, multiple choice on this one. So in the last video I talked about this -2 and that we can use it to flip this fraction basically. But before we do that, let's just go ahead and look in here. This is a little different than I did in the last video, but I want you to know that it works. So let's simplify what we have here first before we even deal with it. Order of operations says start with parentheses, so we can start in there. We have an a cubed over an a squared. So that looks like a times a times a times a over a times a. A cubed, 3a's, over a squared, 2a's. Those cancel out. I'm only left with 1a, and it's in the numerator. Okay. Then look at the b's. So b squared over b cubed. Those cancel out, 1b left, and it's in the bottom. Okay, so you're just finding the difference between the exponents, and wherever they're started with more, now there will be, that's where the variable will end up. And then we can do the same thing with the 7 and the 0. 7 minus 0 is 7, and that's because anything to the 0th power is just 1. So we really only have a c to the 7th in the bottom. Okay. So everything in the parentheses simplifies to just this, and it's raised to the -2. Now the negative sign, what's that going to do? I'm going to make all my exponents are going to become negative. And when my exponents are negative, I put them in, if they're in the numerator, I put them in the denominator. If they're in the denominator, I put them in the numerator. And so really this could be 3bc to the 7th, well, negative sign, over 2a. So just flip the fraction, and the exponent becomes positive. Now the reason I flipped the whole fraction here is because the whole fraction was being raised to the -2. But if you had something like this, if you had something like that, you wouldn't flip the whole fraction. You would just bring the 3 squared up into the numerator, and there wouldn't be anything in the denominator anymore. Okay? So only if everything's being raised to that power do you just flip it. If not, you have to do those things individually. Only this example, only the 3 has the -2, so only the 3 gets brought to the numerator. Okay, now let's deal with the exponent. So that negative, it's got to go somewhere. So a negative, what does this squared thing mean? It means this whole thing in the parentheses times itself. So you've got a negative times a negative. What's that going to be? Hope you said positive. Okay, so another way to think about that would be saying -3 squared, which is 9, b squared, and c to the 7th squared, so that's c to the 14th because I multiply those exponents, over, now I already dealt with the negative with the 3, so it's just a 2 squared, which is 4, and then a squared. 9 b squared c to the 14th over 4a squared, and that is c.